Chapter 13 of Moonfleet. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Simon Evers. Moonfleet by J. Mead Faulkner. Chapter 13. An Interview. No human creature stirred to go or come. No face looked forth from shut or open casement. No chimney smoked. There was no sign of home, from parapet to basement. Hood. And so the days went on, until there came to be but 2 nights more before we were to leave our cave. Now I have said that the delay chafed us, because we were impatient to get at the treasure. But there was something else that vexed me, and made me more unquiet with every day that passed. And this was that I had resolved to see Grace before I left these parts, and yet knew not how to tell it to Elzevir. But on this evening, seeing the time was grown so short, I knew that I must speak or drop my purpose, and so spoke. We were sitting like the sea-birds on the ledge outside our cave, looking towards St. Alban's Head, and watching the last glow of sunset. The evening vapours began to sweep down channel, and Elzevir shrugged his shoulders. "The night turned chill," he said, and got up to go back to the cave. So then I thought my time was come, and following him inside, said, "Dear Master Elzevir, you've watched over me all this while, and tended me kinder than any father could his son. And 'tis to you I owe my life, and that my leg is strong again. Yet I am restless this night, and beg that you will give me leave to climb the shaft and walk abroad. It is 2 months and more that I have been in the cave, and seen nothing but stone walls, and I would gladly tread once more upon the down." "Say not that I have saved your life," Elzevir broke in. "'Twas I who brought thy life in danger. And but for me thou mightest even now be lying snug abed at Moonfleet, instead of hiding in the chambers of these rocks. So speak not of that. But if thou hast a mind to air thyself an hour, I see little harm in it. These wayward fancies fall on men as they get better of sickness, and I must go to-night to that ruined house of which I spoke to thee, to fetch a pocket compass Master Ratsey was to put there. So thou canst come with me, and smell the night air on the down." He had agreed more readily than I looked for, and so I pushed the matter, saying, "Nay, master, grant me leave to go yet a little farther afield. You know that I was born in Moonfleet, and have been bred there all my life, and love the trees and stream and very stones of it. And I have set my heart on seeing it once more before we leave these parts for good and all. So give me leave to walk along the down and look on Moonfleet but this once, and in this ploughboy guise I shall be safe enough, and will come back to you to-morrow night." He looked at me a moment without speaking, and all the while I felt he saw me through and through, and yet he was not angry. But I turned red and cast my eyes upon the ground, and then he spoke. "Lad, I have known men risk their lives for many things, for gold and love and hate, but never one would play with death that he might see a tree or stream or stones. And when men say they love a place or town, thou mayst be sure 'tis not the place they love, but some that live there, or that they loved some in the past, and so would see the spot again to kindle memory withal. Thus when thou speakest of Moonfleet, I may guess that thou hast some one there to see, or hope to see. It cannot be thine aunt, for there is no love lost between ye. And besides, no man ever perilled his life to bid adieu to an aunt. So have no secrets from me, John, but tell me straight, and I will judge whether this second treasure that thou seekest is true gold enough to fling thy life into the scale against it." Then I told him all, keeping nothing back, but trying to make him see that there was little danger in my visiting Moonfleet, for none would know me in a carter's dress, and that my knowledge of the place would let me use a hedge or wall or wood for cover, and finally, if I were seen, my leg was now sound, and there were few could meet me in a running match upon the down. So I talked on, not so much in the hope of convincing him as to keep saying something, for I durst not look up, and feared to hear an angry word from him when I should stop. But at last I had spoken all I could, and ceased, because I had no more. Yet he did not break out as I had thought, but there was silence. And after a moment I looked up and saw by his face that his thoughts were wandering. When he spoke, there was no anger in his voice, but only something sad. "Thou art a foolish lad," he said. "Yet I was young once myself, and my ways have been too dark to make me wish to darken others, or try to chill young blood. Now thine own life has got a shadow on't already that I have helped to cast. So take the brightness of it while thou mayst, and get thee gone. But for this girl, I know her for a comely lass, and good-hearted, and have wondered often how she came to have him for her father. I am glad now I have not his blood on my hands, and never would have gone to take it then, for all the evil he had brought on me, but that the lives of every mother's son hung on his life. So make thy mind at ease, and get thee gone, and see these streams, and trees, and stones thou talkest of. Yet if thou art shot upon the ground, or taken off to jail, blame thine own folly, and not me. And I will walk with thee to Purbeck Gates to-night, and then come back and wait. But if thou art not here again by midnight to-morrow, I shall believe that thou art taken in some snare, and come out to seek thee." I took his hand and thanked him with what words I could that he had let me go, and then got on the smock, putting some bread and meat in my pockets, as I was likely to find little to eat on my journey. It was dark before we left the cave, for there is little dusk with us, and the division between day and night sharper than in more northern parts. Elzevir took me by the hand and led me through the darkness of the workings, telling me where I should stoop, and when the way was uneven. Then thus we came to the bottom of the shaft, and looking up through ferns and brambles, I could see the deep blue of the sky overhead, and a great star gazing down full at us. We climbed the steps with the soapstone slide at one side, and then walked on briskly over the springy turf, through the hillocks of the coveted quarry heaps, and the ruins of the deserted cottages. There was a heavy dew which got through my boots before we had gone half a mile, and though there was no moon, the sky was very clear, and I could see the veil of gossamers spread silvery white over the grass. Neither of us spoke, partly because it was safer not to speak, for the voice carries far in a still night on the downs, and partly, I think, because the beauty of the starry heaven had taken hold upon us both, ruling our hearts with thoughts too big for words. We soon reached that ruined cottage of which Elzevir had spoken, and in what had once been an oven, found the compass safe enough as Ratsey had promised. Then on again over the solitary hills, not speaking ourselves, and neither seeing light in window nor hearing dog stir, until we reached that strange defile which men call the gates of Purbeck. Here is a natural road nicking the highest summit of the hill, with walls as sharp as if the hand of man had cut them, through which have walked for ages all the few travellers in this lonely place, shepherds and sailors, soldiers and excisemen. And although, as I suppose, no carts have been through it for centuries, there are ruts in the chalk floor as wide and deep as if the cars of giants used it in past times. So here Elzevir stopped, and drawing from his bosom that silver-butted pistol of which I have spoken, thrust it in my hand. "Here, take it, child," he said, "but use it not till thou art closely pressed, and then, if thou must shoot, shoot low, it flings." I took it, and gripped his hand, and so we parted, he going back to Purbeck, and I making along the top of the ridge at the back of Hoar Head. It must have been near 3 when I reached a great grass-grown mound called Culliford Tree, that marks the resting-place of some old warrior of the past. The top is planted with a clump of trees that cut the skyline, and there I sat a while to rest, but not for long, for looking back towards Purbeck I could see the faint hint of dawn low on the sea-line behind St. Alban's Head, and so pressed forward, knowing I had a full 10 miles to cover yet. Thus I travelled on, and soon came to the first sign of man, namely, a flock of lambs being fed with turnips on a summer fallow.